Yes, sir. Welcome back. You are tuned in to the Commissioner's Conversation. I am your host, Commissioner Gordon. This week, I got a special guest for you. It's my guy. This is my dude, man. Listen, we go back, man, so far.
Way back.
Like, way back. But if you don't know, let me put you up on game real quick. NFL Football Insider at 92.9 The Game. Producer at 92.9 The Game. Also has his own podcast, Fill in the Blanks, with his co-host, Tanitra Batiste. Man, all the way from Albany State. I see the jersey in the back.
You know? Oh, yeah. You know I got to represent them.
All the way from Albany State. This is my dog, Jarvis Davis. What's happening, bro?
Not too much. Hey, you left out representing the East Side all day. Oh. You know what I'm saying? Originally from Atlanta, you know, so I ain't come too far. So always, but definitely always glad to be on with you, man. Yeah. And, man, I really hold on now. Hey, look, man, that's one of the things right there, boy. When you think about, man, this pandemic, boy, that's one thing. Like, you just got to get used to that. Like,
right,
kids popping in and exactly. You know, babies crying and all that stuff, man. Still trying to do it, but hey, man, we all trying to make it work, baby.
But yeah, I know you just came back all the way back from the Senior Bowl. You hot-tailed it all the way back. Let me know, man. What did you see out there that possibly we haven't heard already?
You know what? Like, there's a couple guys that I really like that I saw. One that, you know, most people have probably heard of is Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina.
Okay.
He's not that big of a guy. Not that he doesn't have that much size, but he is stout. Like he runs hard. You know, this guy is quick. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and also he can, you know, give you a little something in the pass blocking game as well. So I really like what I saw from him. But here's one of my sleeper picks though.
Okay.
Here's a guy ain't nobody really talking about. Rashard Weaver. He's a defensive end out of Pittsburgh. And with the Falcons switching to that 3-4 defense,
right.
I think he'll be a good candidate. He's about 6'6", about 265, 270. And that dude's lean, and he's just a smooth football player, man. In the passing game, and he's pretty solid against the run. So that's a guy that the Falcons, I think they need to take a really good look at, because that dude shined like for the couple of days that I was down there in Mobile.
Well, I will tell you, one of the names I kept hearing about was Carlos Basham Jr. What they call him, Boogie?
Yeah. Wake Forest, yeah.
Wake Forest, right.
Yes,
you get a chance to check him out?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Like, he's a guy that I would definitely take a look at as far as from an edge rusher standpoint. I don't know if he's comfortable in the two-point stance, you know, being that outside linebacker that the Falcons are going to be looking for, but he's definitely a guy that can get to the quarterback. That first day, he made a name for himself. He made a name for himself on that first day out there. So, yeah, very well aware of what Carlos Basham brings to the table.
And you mentioned the Falcons, and we know at some point in time, probably this draft, we're going to need to take someone who could help with the run game in terms of running the football. You mentioned a young man out of North Carolina. I heard a bunch of stuff on the NFL Network about they showed Najee all over the place, Najee Harris. Also, I saw that Trey Sermons was there, but he did not work out. He wasn't working out with anybody. He wasn't going to participate. I think they said he was doing he wasn't doing anything to Ohio State's pro day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just from your standpoint, does it benefit players just from being in that environment and you're not actually participating?
Oh, I'm most definitely, because here's the thing. Like, when are you going to be able to get a chance to just sit down face-to-face and speak with a position coach from the team that's coaching you, or even the head coach? Because there's no in-person, you know, the combine this year. Most of everything's going to be done virtually, and I believe that they're going to do some pro day stuff, but we're just waiting on to see how that's going to work out. But when you talk about just being in that environment, being around certain cats, and a lot of times, you know, our NFL football coaches, period. They want to see what you look like in person. You know, like you can put down 6'5", 295, But if I get up in person and see you're only 6'3", 260, 275, that's a big difference. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, and even on the opposite side of that, we know that coaches fall in love with players.
no doubt.
They go out there and you may not know a whole lot about a guy, and then you start to coach him and get in that environment, and then you start talking to him and you see where his mental is.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it comes down, like you said, when you get that opportunity to show and impress on pro day, they already have a little connection with you from Senior Bowl, and then they'll pick you where you might not have been drafted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or you might have been a late round to mid-round draft pick, and it works in your benefit. So, yeah, I just wanted to get a little piece on what you thought about that. Another one real quick, there was a dude they kept showing, and I only got this from the NFL Network standpoint. There was a guy that kept showing Quinn Monterey.
Yeah, University of Wisconsin on Whitewater.
Right.
D3 school, offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He's nasty. He got a little mean streak in him.
I saw on Twitter and on NFL Network, they were showing this kid pancake guys all over the place and up close and personal what it looked like.
Oh man, he was one of those guys that just one of those nasty offensive linemen, just a guy who just don't care. A guy who might not take a shower for a couple of days. He was walking around with a jersey tucked up under his shoulder pads, stomach hanging out. Man, he just did not care. But he was a guy that, you could kind of tell maybe there was a little intimidation initially on that first day. Deep Division III player, you got all type of chips stacked up against you.
Right.
People gonna be looking at you a certain way, but once you strap up, it's time. It's go time and try to improve that you belong. And he was a guy that I thought continued to do that, whether it be in pass sets or getting his pass set and getting his hands on guys and locking in, or in the run game where he was trying to finish blocks. Because they weren't really going to the ground like that in practice, but he was a guy that was trying to send the message for sure.
Well, shoot, I couldn't tell because I know on a couple of those runs they showed on TV or I saw on Twitter, he was putting people on their back.
Right. Yeah.
And like you said, he fit the mold of what you consider an old school offensive lineman. Like you said, in the trenches, nasty, just like, and we all know those guys. If you play football, you know those guys where, like you said, they might not shower for 2-3 days. They just keep going. That's just how they are.
Right.
But outside of that, was there anyone that you saw that maybe increased their draft stock? Probably, like I said, from maybe being not drafted up until making a name for themselves.
There's a wide receiver out of Arizona State, goes by the name of Frank Darby. He's a guy that I thought that he's a really good route runner. He's able to create separation. Not that big of a guy, but he's a good route runner and he's able to create separation. May have some really good catches, and he's also a guy that has a personality.
Okay.
One of those guys who walks in the locker room and might just start dancing or singing for something. You know what I'm saying? When you think about that, and a lot of people may hear that and say, "Oh, that really doesn't matter," but it does.
It does.
When you think about formulating a team and being in the locker room where you're trying to get that camaraderie and also you want to be able to play ball too. I think being able to fit in and whether it be on the field and off the field, that's a good trait to have, especially when you're going into the NFL locker room full of grown men. So you definitely don't want to have a guy who thinks he's all that and think he can play ball and he's not really as good as he think he is.
Right.
But that's not this guy. Frank Darby is a guy that can definitely keep an eye out on for as far as like he may not have been on people's radar coming into this thing, but he definitely got a couple eyeballs on him for sure.
Now we touched on home base before, but put your GM hat on.
Okay.
Now you're the GM Atlanta Falcons. We know they got Fontenot, but we're gonna throw in GM Jarvis. What would you do with this number 4 pick? Would you trade back? Would you keep it? What would you do with this pick?
Here's the thing, man, because we all know that there's a lot of little rumblings is about who this city wants. And I know for me personally, here would be my plan would be going into this draft would be to try to win next year, try to win this season, and set myself up for the future. How do I set myself up for the future? I take a good look at these quarterbacks. I rank them. I put them in an order to where if they're sitting there at 4, do I take them? And if the guy that's at the top of my board is still sitting there at 4, I take him. And, I know I like Justin Fields. I like what he brings to the table. He has a great arm, tough as nog on nails. He displayed that time and time again in the playoffs. He's mobile. Like this is where the game of football NFL is going. Like you almost have to have a mobile quarterback nowadays, given how fast defenses are and the type of things that they're throwing at these quarterbacks in today's game. So if Justin Fields is sitting there, and I might not necessarily like him that much, if Zach Taylor is sitting there and they're at the top of their board, take them. You take the quarterback because the needs are not going to change, because you're going to be able to find some value throughout this entire draft. I had before and that was before I even went to the Senior Bowl. And after going to the Senior Bowl and looking at some of those guys that are 4-year players, stayed in school for 4 years, there's some value there. You're going to be able in the mid rounds and late rounds. You just got to do your homework. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of being in this number 4 spot by essentially having Matt Ryan's successor right there waiting in the wings, because you don't want to wait till the last minute or wait till he's done to try to replace him,
right?
Because that's a year too late. You already a year and a half in the hole if you're doing, or 2 years in the hole if you're doing something like that. So I'm taking that quarterback, and I'm trying to find a running back in those mid rounds. I'm trying to find another offensive lineman in that mid round. I'm trying to find another pass rusher in the mid round. Unless, now here's the only way I would trade out of it. If I get an offer that I can't refuse. Okay. If the first 3 picks or the first couple picks, quarterbacks off the board, and a team that's a quarterback thirsty team that's looking to move up, I will consider it, because if you can fleece a guy out of another first round pick, their first round pick this year, and possibly one next year, because we're talking about quarterbacks now.
Right.
The value, you got to come on with it, depending on where they're coming from. You got to come on in with a nice offer. So that's where I am as far as from a general manager standpoint. Like, I am trying to win next year because the needs don't change. Right. Eventually, you're going to need a quarterback. You need a running back. You're going to need an offensive lineman, and you need pass rushers. So that don't change whether or not you're trying to win or not in 2021.
And let's be clear, this is not an Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation. If we draft a quarterback, because I hear a lot of people saying a lot of different things in terms of, we don't really need him, a QB right now. It's not going to be one of those situations where we draft a QB and then Matt's going to feel slighted and go out and be the MVP next season. Now, he may go out and put up some decent numbers.
Right.
But he definitely—
that's fine.
Right, to the benefit, but he definitely understands the business of the situation, and he knows he's on the back 9 of his career. It's not like it's a slap in the face to say we're going to try to find someone who can possibly fill your shoes whenever you get up out of here.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like you're coming off a Super Bowl either, Gordo. Like, when you think about it, these 3 straight 7-9, 4-12, 3 straight losing seasons.
Right.
Got a couple bad, contracts that look like they're bad. And, depending on who you talk to, they are bad. And Julio Jones and Matt Ryan's contract. So when you have those things in place and your salary cap is all jacked up, you're about to be paying a lot of money to 2 people, and you got a lot of people you need to fill just to fill the roster, let alone get people who can play. So, you just have to really take all those things into consideration and not, like I said, not take it personal. It's business. Like, we didn't draft you. Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot didn't draft Matt Ryan, so they have no loyalty to him,
right.
Outside of what his contract says. And reading and getting some feelers from different people who are, a lot more smarter than I am, a lot smarter than I am when it comes to the salary cap. It's movable contracts, both of them. So I just think that with those things being in mind, I think the fan base have to say, you know what, I appreciate Matt and what he's done for this organization, but you gotta ask yourself, what's more important, the logo or the name on the back of the jersey?
There you go. I always tell people I am a Falcons fan. You know what I'm saying? If Julio Jones goes to the Jets tomorrow, I'm not going with him. You know,
Yeah.
I don't become a Jets fan.
Even though he has LeBron-like athletic ability,
right?
I'm not moving like that. That's not how I move,
And the more I talk to people, the more people that I'm seeing that people are getting smart about the salary cap and outstanding, just from being a fan standpoint. Because before, people were treating it like fantasy football. Well, we need to swap this guy for that guy. And now more and more people are paying attention to the salary cap and contracts and how you can move players and what it would take for them to be moved and what you would get back. And in that frame, I get a lot of Deshaun Watson talk, because a lot of people have started talking about Deshaun Watson. Well, you hear the rumors that he wants to be traded out of Houston.
Yep.
And being that he's from around the Atlanta area. Well,
how I say around, like he's not Atlanta, not the Atlanta. Everywhere is Atlanta area nowadays. Like Alpharetta is Atlanta. Like
all the way to Macon, dog.
No, it's not really. It's like an hour above the doggone city.
So being that he's from, like, this would be the closest thing to hometown for him. People have been coming at me talking about a swap or trade Matt for Deshaun Watson, or trying to work a way to get Deshaun Watson to the city. And all this time, I'm hearing the New York Jets, I'm hearing the Miami Dolphins, and I don't really hear Atlanta when you talk to when you listen to the ESPN and the Fox News and all of those guys. I don't hear Atlanta. But is that just a pipe dream for the guys here locally, or is that something that you think could happen?
I think it's a pipe dream, because when you think about the teams that have been named, those are teams that have a lot of draft capital, meaning they have a lot of picks. They have a lot of early picks too. The Falcons only have one, right. And Houston, I would believe if they go down that road, they are going to want to get a haul back. And I think the Jets and the Dolphins are the ones that can possibly at least have a conversation about that. I don't think the Falcons or Terry Fontenot is not coming in and trading. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. Deshaun Watson would be worth it. To see number 4 out there in a black and red jersey with 11 and 18 and 81, Hayden Hurst, and a new rookie running back sit back there as a starter. Yeah, that sounds really great. That sounds amazing. But I just don't believe that, with like I said, where they are with this salary cap and where they are from a roster standpoint, they're going to need every draft pick they can get, because, to be honest with you, they need cheap labor. And, giving up all those picks for one guy, I just don't see it happening, man. I just don't see it happening. Like, it sounds good. I'm sure Deshaun wouldn't mind playing in Atlanta at all, but I think the two teams that you mentioned and the two teams that I've been hearing a lot is the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Those guys have a lot of picks. And essentially Miami has the Texans picks.
I was getting ready to do that.
If they're able to get their picks back, I'm sure Miami wouldn't mind at all, because they'll have their pick of who, from a quarterback standpoint. Right. If that's the route they want to go, I'm sure they will if they're trading away Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, man, it sounds good. It's like I said, Deshaun Watson in black and red, man, that would be something to see. However, it's not happening.
Right. Now, I wanted to ask you, because like we both just said, we hear about the Jets, we hear about the Dolphins. What is the appeal if you're Deshaun Watson I mean, I get it for the Dolphins. The Dolphins, you know, it feels like an up and coming team. It feels like a team you could grow with. But the Jets, like, other than being in New York, I don't have any idea why he would want to be there.
That is an excellent question. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what's his mindset. Now, and I don't know this about Deshaun Watson. Now, if he's a branding guy, a brand type of guy, you know, building my brand type guy, that might be the move. Because when you think about, you know, Houston, you know, not a lot of people paying attention to the Houston Texans outside of Houston. That's the only reason they're getting all this. Only reason they're getting all this attention right now is because of him, and two, they're getting the negative attention because they just seem like a horribly run organization. Now, I know a lot of people just, you know, may say by hearing this, yeah, Jarvis, the New York Jets are a horribly run organization too. Yes, they are, but they have a new head coach, Robert Saleh, and I think that he's going to change that culture because that's what they desperately need, at least in the locker room. And we know nothing is going to change from an ownership standpoint. So, and Robert Saleh, if he's successful, he'll probably be the first time in a very long time that head coach with the green and white hat on. But I think that, and that may be a little bit of appeal, you know, because Deshaun had a couple preferred candidates, and I believe Robert Saleh was one of them.
Yep, he was.
So they may be a little bit intrigued there, and two, the whole branding thing, like the possibility of being able to get some money. You know, even though nowadays, though, Gordo, you know this, it don't matter where you are. If you're a baller, like the money, that outside money is going to come.
I mean, look at Baker Mayfield.
No doubt. And he's a bum to me. Like,
right.
He's not even good. Like, he played for one of the most horribly run organizations of all time. You know, thankfully, you know, they got a competent coach and the head coach in Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
You know, who knows that they got an excellent run game. They have two great backs in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb that can definitely carry the load for them. And all Baker Mayfield has to do is not mess it up.
Yep.
So, you know that if you're that guy from an athletic standpoint and just from a talent standpoint, the money's going to come. So I think maybe he wants to grow it a little bit more by going to that New York market.
That major market. Yeah. So I know I got to let you go real quick, but what's your take on the playoffs? I want to just move it back toward the NFL playoffs. What's your take on the playoffs? Did you see Kansas City and Tampa Bay, or did you have another team that you thought might have been a dark horse that you thought would get in to the Super Bowl?
I'm not surprised by Kansas City, and I'm really not too surprised by Tampa Bay as well. Because to be honest with you, and I turn around and ask you this question: if Tampa Bay didn't make it to the Super Bowl, wouldn't that be a failure?
It would definitely be a failure for
you know, because you went out and spent all the bread on Tom Terrific, you know, and all that coming in, and y'all, Bruce Arians was very adamant about not signing Antonio Brown. You signed Antonio Brown because Tom Brady vouched for him. So yeah, like
even Gronk,
if they didn't make it to the playoffs, that would have been if they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, that would have been a failure in my book. So
yeah, you dusted off old Rob Gronkowski and brought him back out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you brought him out of retirement. So
right.
I'm talking about you loaded up. Now, Tampa Bay was the right team to do that because they had a poop ton of doggone salary cap space. So they were able to do it. And Tom not stupid. Brady's not stupid. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into going down there. You got a really good coach in Bruce Arians, who I highly respect, just from a coaching standpoint about what he does and everything like that. And like I said, a lot of salary cap space. I already have talent on the roster. You have a really, really, really good defense that really got you to the Super Bowl. Because you threw 3 interceptions. Nobody want to talk about that. But that's a whole nother show right there. Right. But when you think about it, man, like I think that there's no shock at all. And I don't even think we have to even really go into how great Patrick Mahomes is. You know, he's gotten all the accolades and all the praise, and it's well deserved. Don't get me wrong, But yeah, I'm not shocked at all about these guys being in the Super Bowl. But I'll tell you this, Gordo. Kansas City gonna kick that butt. Kansas City gonna take those boys. I see Patrick Mahomes doing his thing, man. Really feeling like he has something to prove against a guy like Tom Brady, and going ahead and get him going back to back.
The only thing that intrigues me as much, because I would be in that same boat. The only thing that intrigues me is there's a couple linemen that's down for KC that would make me say,
Eric Fisher, Eric Fisher's done. It's starting left tackle, so that's gonna be a problem.
If JPP get the rolling and Vontae Davis get the blitzing and all these guys start coming after Pat Mahomes, and we know he has the toe injury still because it hasn't gone anywhere. You know, he still has a toe injury. It could be a problem. Yeah, but I totally agree. Like I was with Kansas City all the way. One thing I am proud of that we talk about a lot, especially with this coaching cycle that just passed by. If you look at the coordinators of both of these teams, most of outside of one, 3 out of the 4 are black coaches. Now, if we could talk about that on the opposite end and say it's kind of disgraceful how teams aren't waiting for them to finish the season so that they could pick them up. But there is promise that, you know, you can't just keep denying guys. Like you say, you got Leslie Frazier, you got not Frazier with the Bills, but you got Todd Bowles. You got Todd Bowles, you got Byron Leftwich, you got Eric Bieniemy. That you have these guys, and they should be the names next year at the top of the list when it comes around to Black Monday and everybody's getting fired. They should be the names that we should be looking at.
Right. When Black Monday comes, think about the black coaches. It's real simple. Black Monday, black coaches. Put them to it, they go together.
So like I said, Jarvis, I appreciate you for coming out, man. I appreciate you for talking to me. Real quick, I want you to shout out the podcast. Shout out where everyone can hear you, where they can see you.
All right, Fill in the Blanks every Tuesday at 4:00 on Facebook, and on our Facebook page at Fill in the Blanks. Our podcast is on Google Podcasts, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes. And also catch us up on every Saturday on 929 The Game at 6 o'clock from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., man. So we out here working, man.
Cool. And I'll also plug mine real quick. I'll just say you can check me out. What Instagram? Give me your social media outside of that.
On Twitter at JarvisD90, Instagram at JarvisD90 as well.
Okay. And me, you want to check me out? I am at G Robinson Sports on Twitter, at the.commissioner.gordon on Instagram, and the audio version of the Commissioner's Conversation can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is go to Coffee and Kush and type in the Commissioner's Conversation, and we'll be right there. So check us out. Check out Fill in the Blanks. Once again, JD, appreciate your time. Hold it down, bro. And I'll holler at you again.
No doubt about it, man. Hey, you owe me a visit. You owe me a visit on Fill in the Blanks too, my brother.
Already done. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Cool. Thanks again, bro.
Yep.